Hey guys, it's Jake. Getting ready to head out to an existing customer's new property. I've never been out to this property before. It's an investment property of his. He wants me to do a tune-up maintenance on a heat pump. It's a Trane. He doesn't know if it's R22 or R410A. Doesn't know the tonnage or anything like that. Wants me to come over and take a look at it, try to clean it up. I don't even know if I'm going to have access to a water spigot outside. So who knows what I'm going to get into. I figure I need to shoot something for you guys. I've just been doing tune-ups and maintenances. I did a couple flue pipes here recently that were incorrect. So that's pretty much it. I'm going to take you out on this one. I'll try to record some shots and put out some content. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. Let's get over there and see what we get into. Okay, so he's actually had this unit, I guess, for a year or so. Now he's got a tenant that moved out and he's wanting me to go ahead and service it. This is the outdoor machine. Thing is a monster, man. Got some algae growth on it. I went ahead and pulled the disconnect on it. I checked the fuses. They're 25 amp fuses. It needs 25 amp fuses. This unit's from 2008, but it's R410A. I went ahead and opened the electrical panel. The reason I pulled the disconnect was because this right here, first thing I noticed, can you see that in there? The terminal on the run cap, the wire going over to the contactor is burnt all the way back to the case. So I'm gonna have to repair that wire before I fire it up. It has an ECM condenser fan motor. So that's what we got. I'm gonna have to go inside and just take a quick look at the indoor air handler. Got some cobwebs and stuff in here we'll have to clear out, but before I fire this unit I'm gonna have to go ahead and repair that wire, and I'll go ahead and check the run cap as well. It's a 45 microfarad capacitor. Alright, that's a tiny little return. 16 by 20. Yeah, 16 by 20. This is a 2.5 ton heat pump, so it should have 500 square inches of return grill, and this is only 16 times 20 is 320. So it's 180 square inches short of what it really should have. He told me this is where the indoor unit is. Okay, let's just do a quick check. That's a small little heater, 7.68 for the heat kit. I'll verify that's what it is. Normally 2.5 ton around here, you use a 10 kW, 7.68. 7,680 times 3.41, so it's 26,188 BTU in when the heat strips are firing. So it's actually losing a little capacity when it goes into a defrost, meaning you probably feel about a little cooler than room temperature air coming out. Really would have liked to see a 10 kW on this. This is a variable speed blower. It says got a capacitor. Inside pan is really small and they tiled around it. This should really be 3 inches past. Little standard float switch there. We'll make sure that does shut the system off. They actually did wire the pump in, which is nice. Oh, there we go. Nice little kink there. I'll have to pull up some slack on that. There we go, and I'll zip tie it up here so that doesn't get worse. I'll take this pump apart, of course, and clean it. Yeah, it's a 2.5 ton unit, and it's only got a 16 by 20 return grill. Luckily, it just comes right off the return grill into the plenum, but it really should be a 20 by 25. I bet that thing's pretty loud when it's running. Let's check the panel. He left it open for me. 23 and 25s on a 30, and we're fused down to 25 outside, which is the max overcurrent protection, which is okay. A 50 on that. Maybe that's why they used a 7.68 kW heat kit. Trane unit, yeah, 27, 29, 50. I think that's at 45. So if I reference over here, yeah, minimum circuit amps is 45, max is 45. And 240 volt, that's what we are here. And it's 45, so that should be a 50. So that over there would have to be a 45 amp double pole breaker, or you have to fuse it down. I'll open this box here, it looks like a junction, and see if there's anything in there. I don't think there would be in this, but really should have a disconnect here, service disconnect with 45 amp time delay fuses in it, or 45 amp general protection fuses, anything that would protect the electric resistance and the motor properly, because right now it's on a 50 and it should be a max of 45. So I'll have to write that up in my report here. So that's just the initial look at this stuff. I'm going to go repair that wire outside and check the dual run cap, and then we'll fire it in heat mode. It's not warm enough outside to run it in cooling. It's only 66 degrees in here right now, and it's, I don't know what it is outside, I have to check, but it's probably in the 50s, low 60s. Something else I'd recommend is either adding the float switch to this easy trap so that he has mainline float protection, or even SS2 auxiliary drain float switch. I like to put both on so you have redundant backups, but I will put that in my report that, you know, I do suggest that you get some more water protection, because right now the only thing he's got is this little cheese wang float right here. What if it gets caught up right there? You see how it's kind of at an angle, and then right there is hardwood floors, and on the other side of this wall is hardwood floors, and where this is lower into the tile here, that's going to go right under them floors and buckle them. Yeah, that's not good. I'll just mention it. Whether he does it or not, it's up to him, but I just want to let him know that, you know, I see a problem with that, and that I would advise some additional water protection. Alright, I got the wire jumped over that was burnt. It was pretty bad. Look at that. This thing just came off when I was taking it off of there. You can tell it melted the insulation back on that thing. It's wild. Alright, so I got a new wire there. I jumped over to where it's supposed to be on the contactor. The capacitor here, it's a single run cap. Tested good at 44.8 microfarads. It's supposed to be 45. Tested the resistance on the coil here. It tested at 16.7 ohms, so that's perfectly fine. Target of about 15 ohms. Anything less than 10 or more than 20, I'd recommend replacement. But this one actually doesn't really look burnt or anything on it. And I tested the start capacitor here. It's supposed to be between 135 to 162, and it actually only tested at 92 microfarads, so this needs to be replaced. I will recommend replacing the start cap along with the relay. It does cost more. If he doesn't approve that, I'll just do the start cap. I normally don't do any of this until I fire the system, but with that wire being melted like that, I needed to correct that. The thing definitely could have shorted to the case. Had a high voltage short and a little spark shooting off before it tripped that breaker, or shot one of them fuses, you know, killed one of them fuses. I'll go ahead and hit that too with some dielectric grease before I put it back in. But I'm going to go ahead and grab a start cap for this, or the start cap with the relay, see which one he approves. I've had guys ask me what I use. This is what I use here, technician grade dielectric grease, made in the USA. It's out of Scottsdale, Arizona, called Clear Concepts. I used to have a smaller tube, but I cannot find them anywhere now. This thing's 3.3 ounces. It's a bear to keep in my bag, but it is what it is. I got butterfingers today. Okay, so I was able to put on another start cap. Wasn't authorized on the relay. This is a, I've marked at the bottom here, start cap OEM 135 to 162 MFD, 330 volts AC, and the date I replaced it. Went ahead and marked the date on this as well. And I think I'm going to write just on here, maybe right here, that it's 130 to 158, so it's in the range of the 135 to 162. I did test it before putting it on. It tested good, and I had to use a new bracket. This is skinnier than what came off of it, so I used one of them, I think they were on the carriers and stuff, the double bracket with the 2 screws. I used the existing screw and then had to drill a hole here with a self-tapper, and then put that in, so it's nice and secure now. It's not going anywhere. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and hook up my probes here, and we'll fire the system up and see how it's doing. Well, it's a nice quiet system. I've got 8 amps on the compressor. I went ahead and took the amp draw And we got 1.1 amps on the fan motor, outdoor fan motor. Got a 50-degree temperature split with the heat strips running. Imagine that's probably a little bit due to because we got a small return with the heat kit this small, and the heat strips are firing because I cranked the heat way up. I'm getting ready to go inside and do amp draws on them. Typically you'd see about 45 degrees or so, something like that with the heat pump running. It's a little on the higher end at 50, so I think that's mainly just because we're only running a 16 by 20 return grill. Could be also that the indoor blower isn't set up real high on the speed. It might not be on high or something like that, so I'll have to keep looking into that. But just gonna let this thing run a little while and go inside and take some amp draws on the blower motor and on the heat strips. Well, I'm not sure if this will pick up in the camera, but boy, that unit is kind of loud on the inside here. You can really hear the air ripping through this thing. That's really ripping. Alright, I went ahead and tested the resistance on this contactor. It tested at 11.4 ohms. This is a double pole contactor, so I'm expecting to see around 12 ohms on this, plus or minus about 5. Alright, so somewhere in between. If it drops below about 8, I start worrying. 7.5, 8. Typically they're going to run around 12, 12.5 ohms. This one was 11.4. That's perfectly fine. Went ahead and tightened these connections. I disconnected power over at the breaker box. All of these connections were loose, especially on the line side. So I went ahead and tightened those. I marked the white as a hot. I took amp draws on the heat kit while it was running. We're drawing 16.9 amps on one leg, and on the other leg 15.6 amps. So that's all right. The blower motor, it's kind of hard to do that because when you open this door up, it wants to slow down, but I was able to get an amp clamp on it and it was drawing 1 amp. So left that alone. I'm going to go ahead and wipe all this down here. You can see this has typical signs of low airflow. You get lots of growth on the wires everywhere inside the air handler, even on the pan down there. You can just see this is what happens when you end up with kind of a low airflow situation or inadequate airflow for the cooling mode. You end up with stuff getting covered in growth. This screw's a little rusty here, the G-coil. But yeah, so I'm just going to go ahead and wipe all this down, clean it up. I need to open this up and see if it's what speed this is using, if it's got dip switches in there, and see if I need to maybe possibly make an adjustment on that. Alright, I got all the wires wiped down and cleaned with my organic cleaner. Got the motor here wiped down, tops of the coil wiped down. All these low voltage wires over here are no longer black. I was looking at the blower settings here, and this is a 2.5 ton. This is a dip switch because this is a variable speed blower here, and 1 and 2 is on off, so it's set for 2.5 ton. And then we're set right now with 3 and 4 on off and on, so that puts us at 350 cubic feet a minute per ton. And I think we should up it, so I'm going to change 3 and 4 to off off and bring it up to 400 cubic feet a minute to help lower that split down. I see right here where 3 and 4 were off on, so that's 350 CFM. And with all this growth we're getting in this undersized return grill, I think we're just not moving quite enough air. 5 and 6 we're set to on, which is enhanced. You can see I put little dots with the marker, and this is what I'm going to change it to here. But I put a dark dot here. I'm going to leave it in enhanced, and then for 7, 8 aux heat airflow, it's in off on, and it's going to move 1,000. Maybe what I should do is actually move it up to medium high and go on off on that one to push more air with the aux heat running. I'll see what I've come up with here, but I think that's what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to move the 3-4 to off, bring it up to 400 cubic feet a minute. So we'd be moving at that point 1,000 CFM through the system. And then with the aux heat airflow, instead of moving 1,000, I'm thinking we go to medium high and run it at 1125 and just see if that lowers that split down a little bit, because it's pretty high right now. Okay, I just wanted to check this, make sure it wasn't something I hadn't seen before, but yeah, it's just some split bolts wrapped up. This is just a junction box like I thought, no fuses in there. I did go ahead and put the aux heat set to 1125 CFM, so this thing should put out 1000 CFM in heat and cool, and then when the auxiliary heat kicks on, it's going to add another 125 CFM, because it was set on 1000 and I was getting a 50-degree temperature split with the heat strips running, and then it got all the way up to about 52 degrees as it ran longer. So I want to bump that up a little bit and see if we can bring that split down just a little bit. The only thing that'll hurt is when it does go into defrost. This isn't producing quite 30,000 BTU. So when it does go into defrost and it switches modes, you might feel a little more cooler air coming out of the vents while it's in defrost. Right before, I think I did the calculation earlier, it's a few thousand BTU off. That's what I did. I went ahead and set 7/8 to on off to give me 1125 CFM with the aux heat on, and hopefully that'll give me a little lower split while it's running with the heat strips on, because it was really, you could smell it, it smelled hot, like it was getting way too much, and you know, that's getting up there pretty high on the split. Okay, I went ahead and got the pump apart. There was some rust in the bottom. Went ahead and cleaned that out completely. Got all the dust and everything off the condensate pump. Went ahead and snaked the trap here. I am going to recommend a piece of Armaflex insulation to prevent any nuisance dripping that could happen during cooling mode. Went ahead and zip tied up the wire nuts for this. This was like really stretched out over here. I didn't like the way it was, so I just went ahead and made sure they were twisted and got a zip tie on them. And then I also was able to pull a little slack, just a little bit, and was able to get that bend out of the condensate tubing. So that's no longer bent. This was on there, but it wasn't tight, so I was able to pull that a little bit tighter and trim it. And then I added another zip tie up here on this one so that it keeps a nice easy bend so it doesn't kink again in the future. So right now I got my filter. Also, I'm not sure if I mentioned, wiped this entire unit down on the outside. Looks like I got a little bit of dust I need to get out of here still. I did hit it with the rag, but I'm seeing a little bit there. I need to get it right there. I need to scrub that a little better. I'll do that as I'm pouring this drain cleaner. So now I'm going to pour a gallon of foaming drain cleaner down through this. I did snake this, and it's going to go into here. This has been completely cleaned out. There's no water in it. And then I'm going to follow it with, I got 2 gallons of water here, but I'm going to fill this one back up and run 3 gallons of clean water. This drains to the outside by the outdoor unit underneath it. So I'm going to go ahead and flush this drain now. Even though it's a heat maintenance, I want to make sure that drain is clear. Alright, so this is what the air handler looks like after I wiped it down and cleaned it up. I got the drain flushed out with 3 gallons of cleaner. Ended up filling the other container after I dumped the cleaner out of it, rinsed it, and then ran a gallon and then 2 more gallons behind it. Went outside, and the discharge line was definitely discharging condensate outside. Remember to wipe down that little area over there that I forgot. Even got up top where the line set drops down. The neighbor's line set comes in from upstairs, and you can tell their liquid line's too small. It's 5/16, not 3/8. This one is 3/8 though. Alright, so that's what it looks like. Got all the whips wiped down, everything zip tied. I wanted to zip tie. I'm going to go ahead and go outside and rip the outdoor unit apart. Pull the plastic cover off the top, pull the fan, get down inside, get all the debris out of it, open up the outdoor panels, and wash the coil from the inside out. Make sure it's nice and clean. Not sure how much more I'll record here. And I'm kind of stretched for time, and this is taking longer than I thought. Okay, so I got the top back on, the sides back on, scrubbed all the panels, as you can see. Got all that algae off of there. Got all that clean. Scrubbed the bottom, sprayed off the pad. Got down inside. It's hard to get down in there. I ended up dropping my vacuum hose in there, trying to suck up what I could. I couldn't reach down in there and wax that bottom, but I did wax the compressor shell everywhere I could reach. Clean the algae off the fan blades, got those waxed. Waxed this whole top already here. You can see it's starting to dry out. It probably needs a little more buffing right there. But yeah, this is all waxed. I gotta hit the wax again on this, the outside panels. Then I'm gonna put the plastic top back on. I got it over here. I got it all scrubbed down, flipped it over and everything, scrubbed it with a brush and my cleaner. So I'm going to go ahead and put that back on now that I got the fan connected, the electrical for the fan reconnected. And I'll wax this top as well, as it's pretty wore out looking. That plastic fades. I don't have any more of that polish, the Turtle Wax Ice synthetic polish. That works really good on these, and it holds for a couple months normally. So all I got is some wax, but I'll still hit it with a real good heavy coat. Well, this part is kind of tedious here. I go through this, even though I hit it with the scrub brush. I got some wax on it right now, and I'm just going through each of these fins here. I'm just hitting it with the microfiber to try to buff in that wax to get any remaining dirt that I might have missed. Okay. Let's see, I got some wax on it. I just got to go through each one of these now and give it a good scrub, get all the remaining dirt out of it. And then, you know, it helps buff it in as well. This is what the bristles missed, along with my all-purpose cleaner. These things take a while. If I had that Turtle Wax Ice, I just can't find it anymore. I haven't looked online, but none of my local stores have it, and I've been into. That works really good on this, and it really helps kind of restore that plastic. You got to keep using a different part of the rag, and then occasionally you got to rinse the rag out and then re-wet it, you know, everything you're doing with that wax. This helps it protect it from the sun. You can see the top here, it's nice and shiny. Hopefully that shows up in the camera. Yeah, this rag's getting kind of dirty, so I might have to clean it out here. Alright, let me clean this thing out. But you get the idea. Just go all the way around. Got to get the panels next. Alright, I got it back together here. Got the sides buffed. I forgot to mention this. Sometimes if it's sunny out or if I'm in the sun, I can't pre-wax this off. Sometimes what I'll do is go from a downward angle and spray it and then go in and, you know, buff it out. Just depends. I just don't want that wax getting into the coil, you know. This looks a lot nicer. The synthetic polish does a better job than just wax, but I don't have any more of it, like I said. I'd love to find the person that decided to put a holly bush right on the flipping unit. I swear, man, some of these landscapers and people that design this stuff don't really use their heads. Well, you can see this is a lot cleaner. All that in there is all waxed up. Looks way better than what it used to. I'm gonna go ahead and do the test out. I probably won't record anything. I'm probably gonna might have to adjust the blower speed depending on what I see going on. I might possibly be able to run this thing and cooling. I believe I can, because it's about 68, 69 degrees in there right now. Let's see here. What's the weather out right now? I'm pulling it up on my phone. It is, oh, it's 70 outside, so it's a TXV inside. So I'll go ahead and check it in cooling mode. I'll run the heat first, see how it's doing with the split between return and supply with the heat strips firing. I was getting 50 degrees up to 52 degrees the longer it ran. So I'm going to see if that dropped since I upped the blower speed for the auxiliary heat. And then I'll check the charge in cooling mode just to see how it's doing. Before I was running a little bit high on the head pressure here, mainly I think because we're a little short on air. They were only running 350 CFM through that unit, and we're only pulling through a 16 by 20 return grill. But I'm gonna go ahead and test out. I'm not gonna probably record this because I've already been here 5 hours almost, which is ridiculous on a maintenance, but I do have some extra stuff that I can charge for. I charge extra to adjust the blower speeds, charge a little extra to repair the burnt wire, and charge for the start cap, so that'll help. But yeah, I don't have a lot of billing here, and I've been here a long time, but this is the first time I did this system, so you know, it typically takes me a lot longer to check the system out. I have to kill the breakers, I test the tightness on the disconnect, you know, all that stuff, make sure those screws are tight, and I'm glad I do that because the air handler one was really loose. This one was fine out here. I went ahead and waxed the disconnect too. I had lubed it earlier, cleaned the whips up, so I mean, it's definitely looking a lot better, but I figure I'll go ahead and talk to you guys in the van as I'm leaving out of here, but unless I find something crazy. All right, well, I just disconnected from the system, unhooked my probes. I was hooked up for heating mode, and the head pressure did drop. I was running pretty hot before, and my temperature split came down as well. Instead of running 52 degrees, I tested on those same vents. I was at 50 on one set of vents, and I went to another one which was closer to the unit, and I was getting 52 degrees of temperature split. I'm now only getting 46.8 degrees, and this thing was running quite a while, so I feel a lot better about that. Temperature split between return and supply, 46.8. It's a lot better than 52. 52 is start pushing the max of what these things should be doing, so I called it good there. I went ahead and asked the customer if he wanted me to hook up to the unit for cooling mode and just go ahead and check the charge, because it's warm enough outside right now, 71 degrees, and warm enough in the house now, it's over 70 inside, to test this charge in cooling mode. And he said he didn't want me to do it. He wants to save the money. This is an investment property, so he's not wanting to spend the money on paying me the additional money. I would charge at least $50 additional to test the unit in cool mode, because I'd be here about 30 minutes letting the thing run and seeing what it's doing. So I told him it'd be probably another 50 bucks if I hooked up for cooling mode, and he declined that. So he said he might have me come back in the spring and run a spring maintenance on this thing. Not sure if he will or not, but you know, the unit did a lot better between the return and the supply. I got that temperature to come down with the auxiliary heat running. It even was able to lower the temp split a little bit when only the heat pump was running, which was nice. So I'm gonna go ahead and pack my stuff up and get on out of here. I'm not gonna do an outro in the van. Just wanted to say thanks for watching. I appreciate you coming along with me. I forgot to mention, I don't think I showed it on camera either, I did test defrost on this. I don't think I filmed it, but I did test the defrost when I first ran this thing. Defrost did do okay, and it did shift. So just want to say thanks for watching. I understand, guys, I can't show everything. I've been here for 5 hours, and I just can't show everything on video. It's just too much. My process, it just takes way too long, but I'm trying to show bits and pieces of every job I go out on to try to show what I'm doing. And if people want to pick up stuff or maybe give suggestions on other things I could try, you know, you can leave a comment. But anyways, thanks for watching. I appreciate you taking time out of your days to watch. You guys stay safe out there, get home safe to your family. Talk to everybody later.